Hi, everyone. Kathy Rose here. I'm going to talk to you about the astrological patterns for May 2025. We're going to talk about Taurus energy. That's the mandala that's on screen. You see all the fertility and all the stability. Well, that runs through the entire month. Let me explain. Let's begin with the themes for May. And you see on the left side of the screen a gigantic tree. I think that's a sequoia. And with the tree that large, the root system anchored into the ground has to be immense, right? So I want you to think about that for yourself, that what is going on in May is going to require you to have that kind of inner support system set up, not just May, but really for the rest of this year. It's so very, very, very important for you to have techniques and methods to create the sense of stability within so that your sense of stability is not just dependent on what's happening in the world or what's happening in your day, that you can generate and create peace and calm and security within anytime you need it. So know what those techniques are and have them at your fingertips. The other theme for May and really for the rest of this year is embracing your own capability. I've talked about this many times. This is not new if you've been watching my videos, but take it to the next level now. Really, this is talking about how to absolutely know and believe that you are indeed up to the task of, of navigating life successfully, and that you don't have to know every tiny little thing that's coming up in advance. You don't need a prediction to help you feel secure. You carry it within yourself. You know you are capable. You know you can navigate life successfully and creatively. It's an incredibly important skill to be developing right now. And the other thing for May is that we're going to palpably start to feel this new cycle beginning as Saturn enters Aries this month. I'm going to talk about that. I have a whole slide dedicated to it. So let's move on. And I want to begin with reminding you that we are in a completion and integration period as Venus in Aries in May goes back or hits the same degree where it started the retrograde and where we had the eclipse. So Venus entered Aries in February. And then it went retrograde and went back into Pisces. And then we had a big eclipse in March at this about the same degree where Venus began the retrograde. Well, now in May, in the middle part of May, Venus is going to hit that degree again. Bottom line with this, pay attention to what you started in February, March, April, as far as how you believe in yourself, how you feel about yourself. Are you brave? Are you willing to take risks and move things forward? How much action do you take to achieve your goals? How much do you love yourself? Do you say nice things to yourself? Have you improved in these areas? And that's what I would suggest that you review. How much have you improved? What has come forward for you to look at that may need to have been released so that you are feeling empowered and strong and brave and so forth? That's the completion of this Venus cycle, really. And when we review, we can say first, Venus first entered Aries in February, went retrograde, went back into Pisces. It re-entered Aries recently, just on April 30th, and it's going to stay in the sign until June 6th. But it is this key zone, and it's going to happen right around the time of the full moon this month, mid-May, where Venus hits the same degree that it started the retrograde and where we had the eclipse. So we have a whole lot of Aries development happening right now, not just from the fact that Venus is starting, to reactivate that Aries degree again, but Mercury, if you remember, went retrograde in Aries, backed up into Pisces, and then moved forward into Aries again. And we have Saturn and Neptune well, Saturn will be in Aries soon. Neptune is already there. And then on top of that, we have these little tiny, I call them little bell cycles that activate what we are trying to learn in this whole Aries dynamic. For example, on May 7th, we're going to have Mercury conjunct Chiron, which is in Aries. And then on June 1st, Venus will conjunct Chiron in Aries. Now, we don't have to get into the weeds to say exactly what does that mean. These are little bells, meaning they last about a day and they just pop the energy forward into our awareness. So Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's the pioneer, it's brave, it's the warrior, it's confident, it's an action-oriented sign. So all of these little pop, 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 pop hits with Aries are trying to support the larger cycle of Neptune in Aries, which is going to take 14 years, by the way, and Saturn in Aries, which will take 2.5 years. So, first and foremost, just do a little review. How much have you improved in the last 2 or 3 months with your sense of self, with your belief, with your own courage levels? How much have you improved? Make sure you congratulate yourself and integrate and digest what you have developed. And I love this meme. I created it and I post it on social media occasionally. I think it summarizes it well. It says, believe in yourself. You are braver than you think, more talented than you know, and capable of more than you imagine. Now, this is one area of Aries energy that is important to understand, which is when that energy is activated, sometimes we are pushed past our limits. And we don't know we have those limits until we're pushed. And then we have this exhilaration that flows through us when we go, oh my gosh, I just broke through that limit. I am capable of more than I realized. And that shouldn't create fear. That should create excitement. That should create confidence in that you are up to the task of handling life. All right, so keep that in mind. Full moon in Scorpio is coming up on May 12th. And this one is dynamic and powerful and exciting and wonderful. And of course, I like to approach astrology from a positive perspective. What we find in this full moon, May 12th, 12:56 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, this is set for Washington, D.C. We find the Sun and Uranus are conjunct. Now, Uranus has been transiting what's called Algol, which is a very volatile and important place where sometimes people lose their heads, sometimes they react intensely. It doesn't mean we have to do that. But, we may find because this Saturn Uranus conjunction opposite the moon in Scorpio, these are on angles. Now, maybe you don't know how to read a chart, but you can see on that vertical line up and down, which is the midheaven IC set for Washington, D.C., that these planets are on those angles. Well, angular planets are very, very strong. And so this portends something for the United States, for our country, that could be interesting. I hope it's an adventure. I hope it's forward movement. I hope it's progress. Um, I hope it's exciting. I don't know what it is, and I'm certainly not predicting negativity. But when we have Uranus, which is an energy of excitement, adventure, and change, it's slightly disruptive. Not all disruptions are bad, by the way, right? And opposite the moon, conjunct the sun, you never know what you're going to get. So, for you personally, here's what I would recommend. Please note the moon in Scorpio is emotional, it's deep, it's profound. There's a lot of intensity. It's a fixed sign. So we have the fixed sign of Scorpio opposite the two Taurus planets. Please know this. There is an amazing opportunity to begin new habits, new thoughts, new patterns. The Uranus conjunction to the sun offers you the opportunity to release what's not working and to begin something new. Now, it's a very positive interpretation, but when you use it personally in your own life right now, please know the decisions you are making around the time of this new full moon, as far as starting new habits in your thinking or new habits in your physical life or new reactions, they're going to last because it's in a fixed sign, and fixed signs have that long-term focus. So be ready because you may find some decisions surfacing in your life. You may find yourself saying, I'm so over this particular pattern in my life. I have got to jettison it, and I've got to begin a new habit right now. And this full moon can totally support you. But when we go back to the beginning of this video where I said create a sense of stability, that's this full moon is what I'm talking about. You have to anchor your energy into the earth, believing in yourself, supporting yourself, and making a decision to move forward. Anytime we have Uranus very strong in the astrological cycles, the key antidote energy is stability, support, and that ability that you have to be in the present moment and stay calm. Now, Uranus does rule electricity, and I think it's very interesting because today, as I am shooting this video, what is today, the 28th of April, I think? There's a big power outage going on in Portugal, part of France, and part of Spain. A big power outage. And I'm thinking of that because Uranus rules electricity. I'm not saying there's going to be a power outage, but there is some volatility to this full moon in the outer world. And your task is to create inner peace, inner calmness, inner stability. Please, you are up to the task of doing this. Don't buy into any fear you may be hearing if you listen to other astrology forecasts or podcasts that certainly might be telling you this is going to be volatile and terrible. Just create that sense of calmness within. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I love Scorpio full moons because they are so deep and passionate and powerful. But we have continued Uranus energy that flows. So I want to just give you these little dates and tell you how important it is to embrace and understand that between now and July, Uranus is hitting the very last few degrees of Taurus. In July, we'll move into Gemini, but it's not going to stay in Gemini. It'll stay there for a little bit and then it'll retrograde back and finish this transit in Taurus. And then in 2026, it enters July or enters Gemini and stays there. So May 24th, after this full moon I talked about, Mercury will make the conjunction with Uranus. Now, that's just a 1 day activation. That's what I call a little bell hit, but that's a good day to have inventive new ideas. It's a good day to expand your thinking. It's a good day to have spontaneity. If you're a jam musician, I say that because my husband and my son are jam band musicians. It's a good day to jam. But, you know, this is what happens when Mercury and Uranus get together. We get to download new software and we get to increase our belief systems. Now, it's just a 1 day hit, but enjoy it because it's going to sparkle. June 15th, we have a big, big aspect. This is when transiting Mars in Leo is going to square Uranus and Taurus. Now, I am programming already, and hopefully you will join me that all good things will manifest with this aspect. Mars square Uranus, sure, it can be volatile. There can be accidents, there can be violence, there can be earthquakes, there can be power outages, but there can also be incredible change. There can be spontaneous adjustment that needs to happen in order to have circulation and growth. That's what I want to focus on. I mean, otherwise, I'm going to be stressed or anxious or worried, and that's not helping the world and that's not helping me. So please join me in focusing that this time frame, which starts now in May, Mars isn't far enough along in Leo yet to be making contact with Uranus, but we have a whole lot of agitation with Uranus this month. But from now till the middle part of June, we have this wonderful, adventurous change energy in the air. Bless it. Let us all be filled with grace so that we use it at the highest level. Okay. And then on July 3rd, we have another little bell pop, which is Venus making the conjunction to Uranus, which again can be social change. Anytime we have Uranus, that's change, adventure, and movement forward. Venus is social energy. Mercury, which happens on May 24th, is our thinking and our communication. Mars, which is on June 15th, is action. So we want to steer this energy to the highest possible level. Now, on the left side of the screen is a healing mandala that I made many, many, many years ago. It was before I had my hip replacement. And I remember I was in just horrible, horrible pounding pain as I created this mandala. But my focus as I created it was releasing the pain, letting it go, managing it, finding peace within. And the more I created this mandala and the hands on it are like healing hands, Reiki hands, because I do a lot of Reiki, the more my pain dissipated. It was an amazing event. And I look at this and I think to myself, I purposely decided to create peace and calmness and release agitation as I made this mandala. So I'm including it here as we go through all of this Uranus activation. Maybe you can ground. Remember the first picture I showed you in this presentation with the tree, the sequoia, which is huge and has the root system anchored in the earth to stabilize it. That's our theme. And I'm sticking to it. All right, so May 24th is when Saturn enters the sign Aries, and it will join Neptune, which recently entered Aries, and they will be activating the Aries point, which is the first and second degrees of Aries or any cardinal sign, creating high visibility, bringing energy to the surface. So whatever needs to be seen can be seen. Okay, revealing what needs to be seen. Now, as you see on screen, this entrance of Saturn into Aries and even Neptune into Aries is just the first little tiptoe. It's giving us a preview. We get to feel the first sweep of the energy, but Saturn and Neptune are not done transiting Pisces. So they're going to retrograde back into Pisces. And the timing of this is on screen. Saturn enters Aries May 24th, but then on September 1st, will retrograde back into Pisces. And then Neptune will retrograde back into Pisces on October 22nd. So we get the summertime in the northern hemisphere. It's summer. We get this time frame in May through September, October to get the preview of this Aries energy. Again, what I've been talking about the whole time here, which is believing in yourself, confidence, self-sufficiency, holding yourself accountable, taking action, getting your needs met. You know, the shadow side of Aries is selfishness, and the shadow side of Aries is really aggressiveness. But the more positive manifestation is assertive energy that gets your needs met mindfully with courage and power. So they re-enter Pisces. We get a little bit of integration time. And then in January, February of 2026, Neptune and Saturn move back into Aries, and then they're going to conjoin. And then the new cycle really, truly begins. And they are off and running Neptune stays in Aries, as I said, for 14 years. And so the social dynamic in the background will be about please believe in yourself and please bless other people with the idea that they are also capable. Start thinking in terms of that. If you see somebody going through a difficult time, maybe they're sad, maybe they're depressed, maybe they've just had a big shock, please bless them with this thought that you are capable, you are up to the task. Now, it doesn't mean you're not going to help. It doesn't mean you're not going to be sensitive. But instead of feeling sorry for them or believing they're not up to the task, so therefore you have to fix their life, you're saying, I believe in you. I know you're going to find the resources within you to handle this situation, and I'm here if you need me. It's a very different dynamic. So in 2026, we really get to develop that intensely, but we get this beginning introduction now. Later in the month, the new moon in Gemini is going to take place May 26th, 11:02 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is again set for Washington, D.C. Well, this is a delightful new moon and very much needed. This one has a smoother energy. It has calm. It has playfulness. It's much more delightful than a lot of the lunations we've been experiencing recently and a lot of the general overtones that have been happening. I look forward to it. And in a sense, you will feel this spirit of lightness and harmony and renewal that is happening at this new moon in Gemini. Now, in general, I have always called the new moon in Gemini the affirmation moon. And I say that because Gemini is centered on the mind. It's centered on understanding that what you think and what you say and what you communicate comes into manifestation. Your subconscious hears everything you say and takes everything you say as a command. Your subconscious is your obedient servant, and it doesn't evaluate whether you're saying something positive or negative. For instance, just today I had a client and I was talking about a cycle in her chart. And she goes, that scares me to death. And I said, do you really want to be scared to death? She goes, oh, you're right. I shouldn't say that. And I said, no, perhaps you want to find another way to express what you just said, but you don't want to be scared to death. I mean, I know it's a turn of phrase, but really, seriously, now is the time to say, whatever cycle's coming up in my chart, I know I am up to the task of successfully navigating it and creating a positive result, no matter what it is. Yeah, some cycles are harder than others, but it is that core warrior, courageous inner belief in self that needs to come forward now. And at this new moon in Gemini, please take the time to engage all of that positive thinking and enjoy this playful, wonderful energy that's going to be radiating. And this brings me to my final thoughts for the month of May, which is bottom line, give your energy to what you want right now instead of what you don't want. You know, I talk about this all the time, but you know, when you worry or when you go into anxiety, your energy is going to what you don't want to have happen in your life, what you don't want to create. Pay attention if you do that. I mean, we all go into moments of worry occasionally, now and then. I mean, you know, this is a third dimensional school and there's a lot of challenge, right? But catch yourself early, reorient, and come back to focusing your energy on what you want. What are you programming in your own life? What are you telling your subconscious to create? What orders are you placing in the universal restaurant that will be fulfilled? So do the very best you can as we go through these very interesting times we are navigating. All right. So, as always, much love and many blessings. And I look forward to talking to you in the June video. Enjoy these energies and navigate these adventurous energies we are in with absolute confidence. Okay, bye for now.